Hi, welcome back to another episode of Anyone Can Paint. We're going to pick up where we left off last week on the Tawas Point Lighthouse, and we're going to still continue to work on the detailing here. Now before, I think we left off last week by putting in the floor of the railing that goes around the outside. We need to put the shadows in that's going to be caused from the light that would be cast underneath that. This is going to be some white and a little bit of blue. And this is going to go right up in this area up here. I'll put a little bit more blue in that. There we go. And this came down on a bit of an angle because of the angle of the sun. So it kind of comes down like this because the sun was up like this. So it casts a shadow down like this. So it's going to be on a bit of an angle. Like that. Then we can clean that out. And with that same brush, we need to mix up some more of that dark color we used last week, which is mostly blue, a little bit of brown. And after you've got that blended, you can clean out that brush. And then we're going to go back to our liner brush. Remember that you got to get that paint thinned out. So you want to add some water to it. Then we're going to go up and we're going to finish out our railing that goes around here. So that goes there, and there's one at the end. Then wherever you want to put these. And then this goes across. And then because, again, the angle that we're on, you would see the back side of this. So this kind of comes down on an angle like this. And, of course, that wraps around the other side. All right, now we need a few more supports to hold the railing up. So we're going to put one in the middle. We put that last one last week. We finished off with that one that came vertical. We have one that's on an angle. This one goes in the middle, and this is on a slight angle. And over here does the same thing. And just bring that down about the same distance as you have all the other ones. Then you can clean that out. Then back with our small flat bristle brush and going back into some of that dark. We need to put in, for lack of a better term, there's a pedestal that's on the inside of this dome that the light sits on. And it's just about in the center. And it almost acts like a tee for a golf ball. It just kind of sits there and the light goes on top of that. So just a dark spot. Okay, now we can start putting a little bit of highlighting in this. With that mixture that we had just wet down to make the railings, we're going to add some white to that. So this will end up being a gray color. Again, that dark color was that blue and brown. Now we've just added some white to make it gray. Right up here in the dome, you can see this is actually the back side of this. So what we need to do here in the front is to identify the front edge. And then we're going to put a little bit of this gray color on those support pieces to act like a highlight. Lighten those up. Then also on the outside edge of your support pieces, just about the middle, because these back here are going to be on the sun or on the shaded side. And we need to lighten up the top of that handrail. And put a little bit of light on some of those vertical support pieces. And we're also going to incorporate a little bit of this on the dome itself. And just get some color on there. And then you can smudge it with your finger. And on the very top, there is, I'm going to suppose it's a lightning rod, and that goes right on the very top. And then you can clean out your liner brush. And now we're going to put another layer of white on the lighthouse itself. So I'm going to turn this sideways so I can get a nice edge. And I'm going to use the flat bristle brush. I'm going to go into some white. And we're going to put another layer of this in. Now, depending on how thick this goes on, will determine if we have to hit this again. And we're going to have to allow this to dry to see exactly what we end up with. Again, I'm using that stroke that I talked about last week, where you just kind of keep the brush right on the canvas and you just scoot it. And you just want to keep softening this edge up as you're working, I guess as we're looking at it, down. But you don't want to cover up all the gray. And I'm going to turn this over and get this area up here and get that bristle out of there. And just work this right up to that shadow. There. I think while I got this, I'm going to brighten this dome up a little bit on the sun side. And then pull that back a little bit. And again, smudge it with your finger. Just so there's not a hard edge. There. Well, we've got this color in this brush. Let's go up and work on our clouds since this is finally dry. Again, you always want to get this color right on the corner of your brush. And if you hold it kind of like the Statue of Liberty holds a torch, then you're actually scrubbing with the corner and the side of your brush. This kind of helps to prevent strokes that happen. Because if you use the end of the bristle, you're going to end up with a bunch of little lines and things. And by using this, it just kind of mops this out. Maybe that goes off the canvas. And we'll put a couple small ones down in here. And really loose. But again, don't overwork your clouds. It's really easy to do it, and the more you work with them, the more they kind of go away. I'm going to brighten this up over on this side. There we go. All right, we'll clean that one out. Now I'm going to get this small flat bristle brush, and I'm going to get a little white on it. And then I'm going to go through and put a little bit of highlighting on this gray that's in here. Just a little bit. Again, just to kind of give that illusion that it's catching a little bit of light. Right down the side there. And a little bit on that. Now white's got a little bit more to dry. We still got to put a window in there, but I'd rather wait for that to dry a little bit more before we do that. So we're going to get our large flat bristle brush, and we're going to go through and we can now start setting some of the foliage in. Oh, you know what? We have a little chimney we got to put on that house. This is going to be some brown, a little bit of blue, and some white. And this is going to go right about in here. And this is going to be the side that the sun hits. And then you want to add more blue to that. And this will be the shadow side. There we go. All right, now we're going to go hit it with some foliage. And this is going to be, again, the large flat bristle brush. This is some blue and green. And you don't have to overly mix it, but you can just kind of get it there. Now, there's a series of trees and bushes and things that were in between myself and the lighthouse. So this is what we're going to be putting in. Remember that as you're putting these things in, you don't want to put them in really super thick. You want to have like what we call bird holes or sky holes that you can kind of see through there a little bit once in a while. And you can just use the corner of your brush and just lightly tap this in. I'm just going to reload. And how you load your brush, I should have mentioned that. So once you got your color, just kind of tap your brush into it like this. And again, I'm just doing it really loose. And you want to leave little gaps in there. Just reloading, and I will be right back up. And this actually hangs over the house or that building. which helps to kind of set the building back, because it definitely was back. And just work this down back into that we had on there from last week. I'm just going to grab a little bit more paint. We're going to put some highlights on this, so. All right, then on the other side, there's a little bit that comes up like this. This actually is back behind the lighthouse. So just kind of work that up towards it. And here, this doesn't really matter so much. Again, this is staying in the background. Good. All right, we'll clean that out. Then we're going to mix up. There's a couple smaller trees and bushes and things that kind of were growing up at the, again, not at the base of the lighthouse, but between where I and the lighthouse was at. So this is going to be mostly brown, a little bit of blue. Just kind of mix that together. This is going to get a chocolate brown color. Remember to add some water to it to thin it up. And again, we're going to put in the trunk and the branches to this. And this came up right over here like this and kind of need to get a little bit more water. There we go. I think we go. Maybe a little bit more. Now we got it juicy. And we're just going to put some branches off of this. Again, you got to have this paint really, really wet for this to work really well. And then you can have some little scrub things that come off the bottom. And I'm just pulling through and then flicking my wrist up. And there's another one that's over in this area. Just like that. You know, while I'm thinking about this, we've got that color, we should probably go ahead and put some trunks and some branches in this one. This just kind of works its way up. And the thing with this is you can kind of hit and miss where this goes. You can pull some out past the leaves if you want. And just, again, I don't know how well you can see this, but there'll be some branches that kind of sticking in and out in between. And and you can clean that out. All right, to that same mixture that we were just using the trunks with, we're going to add some blue to it. So this is going to darken some of this up. You don't have to make a big batch. We're going to put the window of the lighthouse in now. I think we can get by, and I think that that's white kind of held together pretty well this time. So right about in here, I'm going to take this and then bring this across, then bring this across, then bring this down. And then the lighthouse actually is going to cast a shadow again because of the light. And it kind of goes from that corner down to this one. And you fill this in. And we actually need to go right there. Put that in. I'm just softening that up a little bit. In fact, I want to soften it a little bit more. All right, now we're going to go back to our large flat bristle brush and get some more blue and green. And now I want to dabble a little bit of foliage over some of the branches we just put in. Not all of them, because you want those kind of be playing a little peekaboo through there. And we're going to highlight some of those that you'll see that are exposed when we put the highlights on the leaves. All right, we'll clean that one out. Then we are going to get the small flat bristle brush, and we're going to put a little bit of foliage on those little bushes and little small trees that we have there. This is again blue and green. You just want to tap your brush into that. And this doesn't have a ton, so just kind of follow along with what you've got for leaves and things. And you're just kind of lightly tapping this on. And again, it's okay to have some of your trunk with the little branches showing through once in a while. And those are kind of important to the painting because it helps to push that lighthouse back a little bit. While we've got that color, let's bring some bushes and things up a little bit higher here. Now that we got the lighthouse planted in there. And what I'm doing here is that I'm just getting the brush and I'm bending the bristles like this. And this helps to get that little look of some little bushy things. Good. Now what we're going to do is start establishing the ground a little bit We're going to put some highlights back here against our house. You're just going to use yellow with that color that you got. And we're just going to run that up against the base of the house. And then work our way down. Remember, as you're doing this, this is the ground, so you don't want to cover up all your dark. And then with that color, mostly yellow though, we're going to come through and just put a little bit of highlights on this, not a whole lot. Remember that our light's coming in from the left-hand side, so you want to focus on putting these on the left-hand side. And it looks like this is about as far as we're going to get this week.